Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our What's New Overview Part 2 webinar. My name is Allyson Butts, and I am the Director of Outreach, Engagement, and Quality here at NCCER. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited about the information that I'm going to be sharing with you. But before we get started, I wanted to cover just a couple of housekeeping items. First, I want to ask you all to please use the Q&A feature in Zoom. We have disabled the chat feature because we want to put all of the questions and our responses in that Q&A feature so that we can download them at the end of the presentation so that we can review them and make some FAQs that we can put out on our support portal. So that's why we're going to guide everybody to that Q&A feature. I have Devin on the webinar with me today, and she's going to actually monitor all of your questions while I go throughout the presentation. So please feel free to ask questions as they come up. She's going to do her very best to answer questions as they come in. We do have a number of people on, so she may not be able to answer all of your questions while we're on the webinar, but if we don't get any answered, we will download those and respond back to you in a personal email so that we are sure we get all of your questions answered that you have. The other thing is we're going to be doing a couple of polls. Devin already put one up that I saw you all were answering for us, and thank you so much. She's got a couple more that she's going to put up throughout the presentation. And I ask if you can just to take a quick second and answer that poll question when she puts them up, because it's going to inform us and give us some valuable feedback to make sure that we are putting together resources and communications to keep you informed as we continue with the enhancements and the messaging around that. The other thing I wanted to do was to let you all know that we are recording today's webinar. So at the close of the webinar, you're going to get an email with a recording of this webinar. You don't have to ask for it. It'll automatically be sent to you since you are an attendee. So we wanted you to know that that is coming, and it will be sent automatically at the close of the webinar. If you have colleagues or other people in your organization that have not yet been to one of our webinars, we ask that you please share with them the importance of them attending a webinar and registering. We actually have the two parts. The part one that Kathy Tyler, our Director of Workforce Development and Accreditation, is conducting. And then my part two, every week, twice a week, through the end of the month. So there's still 4 more opportunities for both part one and part two to attend live. So we just ask if you can help us get the word out. We want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to actually attend the webinar and ask their questions. So with that little bit of housekeeping done, I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation for today. So what I'm going to be covering is information that is going to impact you, your learners, and your craft professionals in the processes and systems that you all interact with already. So we're going to get started talking about some of those enhancements. First, I want to kind of reiterate to everybody, because when you hear things are changing, I know there gets to be a little bit of anxiety around that, and oh my goodness, what's going to happen? So I want to just kind of assure you right from the beginning that the majority of what you're going to see today is the exact same functionality that you do today. It's just going to be a new customer experience for you. We actually have someone on staff who is a UI UX, user interface, user experience expert that has helped us throughout this entire process of planning these enhancements to make sure that what we are providing is the best customer experience that we can for you. So very excited to share that with you. I wanted to start today with just a little bit of information about our new website. The website launched in April, and we've had some questions about where do you find things. Things look a little different for you. So I wanted to give just a couple of tips real quick on our website and some important information to make sure you know how to very efficiently access. So the first two areas I want to talk about is just in our general navigation on the website. So when you go to our website, that main homepage, there is a menu titled Explore. And that information under there provides details and information based on your industry sector. So you can see how we have it broken down here in this table. It's broken down by associations, contractors, corrections, government entities, pipeline, high schools, and post-secondary institutions. So a lot of great information focused in the area of each individual industry sector. So if you've not already kind of navigated to that area of our new website, I encourage you to do so. The second area is programs and crafts. So that area of the website provides information about each available craft or title that NCCER produces. So this covers two particular areas I wanted to make sure you knew about. One was for journey level assessments. So this is for our accredited assessment programs and those sites that are registered under those assessment programs. And it gives you a list of all of the available titles of journey level assessments that we offer, including those test specification sheets. So very simple for you to navigate right off of the home page to programs and crafts, and then journey level assessments for that information. The second area is crafts and titles. So for our training programs, you can navigate to programs and crafts, and then crafts and titles. And there you're going to find a list of all of our craft titles that we offer, the available curriculum versions, because there are times that we have multiple versions of a curriculum still active, meaning that you can still use it to submit for credentials. An example would be our electrical curriculum. We still have actually 3 versions of that based off of the different electrical codes available. You'd be able to find out what versions are still active right from that page. We also have a quick reference for you to find the recommended teaching hours by module and by level. And we also have a quick notation on those craft pages if that title is available in NCCER Connect. So a couple of great areas on the website to give you information that you need to find quickly. The next area of our website, I want to talk about our Instructor Toolbox. So our Instructor Toolbox is something that NCCER just released. It's an NCCER platform. It is similar to, but different from the Pearson IRC or the Pearson Instructor Resource Center. That is still there. You still have access to it. But what we wanted to do was to provide our own toolbox of resources for you all to access right from your NCCER account, so you don't have to navigate elsewhere to find it. So a couple of areas that the toolbox focuses on are general resources and craft-specific resources. So our general resources is what our outreach and engagement team has worked to put together for you. Things like Instructor Success Guide, our Instructor Scoop newsletter, and our Instructor Lounge workshop recordings. We have a full library of those. So if you've missed a newsletter 1 month, or you can't find your email for it, or you didn't attend one of our Instructor Lounge workshop webinars, you can go to the toolbox and find those recordings and catch up that way. We also have classroom activities and projects that are above and beyond what is in the curriculum. So be sure to check out those additional resources. We also have the craft-specific resources, your competencies and objectives, your equipment and materials list, your performance profile packets, and your curriculum revision maps. And I'll just pause there on the revision maps just to make sure you all know about this resource. It is a 1-page quick reference that shows you the previous version of curriculum compared to the most recent issued version of the curriculum, so you can easily see what has changed between versions. Really great resource that you can get from the Instructor Toolbox. I will tell you that we are continuing to add resources to the toolbox. Some of those will be the lesson plans and the PowerPoints that you are currently going to the Instructor Resource Center for. You can still go to the IRC to get those, but we are also going to have them in our NCCER Toolbox just for easy access in one place. So keep checking back. We are working diligently to continue to upload those resources for you. Also put a little tip here in the top banner. If you don't want to go to the website and search for the toolbox, you can actually go directly to toolbox.nccer.org, and that will take you directly into that Instructor Toolbox resource. And then the last part of the website that I want to talk about is our support portal. So you get there from going to our website, and in the very top navigation on the screen, you'll see a menu option, Customer Support. I encourage you to visit that support portal and to utilize it. It has a lot of information that you can self-help and will answer a lot of your questions. We have it broken down for easy navigation. We have an area called Quick Links, and this is right at the top of the page when you go to the support portal, and it has our most frequently accessed resources right there at the top of the page for you. We also have a section on helpful articles. Those are all searchable by keywords that you can put right into the search bar on the support portal, not on the website, but within the support portal. And they are displayed in succinct little areas or buckets by topic. So you can easily go to a particular topic and find all the support articles for that topic. We also have a section on the support portal. There's a menu at the top of the page that says See All Resources. That is a quick way for you to access the accreditation guidelines, or what we are rebranding as our accreditation standards. All of the forms that you currently use, and some of those will be dwindling. You'll see as I go through the presentation today that we are getting rid of even more of that paper process for you and providing efficiencies in doing those things electronically. So any forms that you do need will be accessible on the support portal, as well as manuals. Those are things like if you are an assessment center that delivers NCCER's Mobile Crane Operator Certification Program, the manual for that program, the procedure manual, will be under those See All Resources manuals, and you'll be able to easily find that information by navigating to the support portal for that. The next area I want to talk about is the NCCER account. This is the area that you all go into today to access the various platforms and systems that NCCER has for you. You're going to do it exactly the same way that you do today. It's just going to have a new branding and a new interface for you. So those of you, our instructors, our proctors, our evaluators, our to be called directors and managers, so our sponsor reps and primary administrators, our TU reps and our assessment site reps, you all already sign in today. Nothing is changing in that. Your sign-in information, your password information will remain the same. The only thing that's going to change is the way it looks. We've just made it have our brand, our new branding and coloring, and a little bit easier navigation, not quite so much information on a single page. So you're going to sign in exactly the same way that you do today. One thing that I will mention is that these enhancements that I'm talking about today, the enhancements that Kathy talks about in the part 1 of the webinar series, will all go into play at the end of July. We're going to be sending out an email or various emails, so be sure and watch for emails to come, all of the specific dates, so you'll know exactly when this is taking place. So that's going to be communicated within a week, no more than 2 weeks to you. We'll have a whole schedule with all the very specific dates that you need to know. So just know that this is coming, and we're going to provide the exact dates for when you'll have this new experience. Now, if you all are signing in, but we've also been messaging out about your learners and craft professionals creating their own NCCER account, which includes having their card number generated for them. So what they will do is they're going to navigate to the same place to sign in, but they're going to need to create an account where you already just sign in because you have an account. So when they select to create an account, this is the screen that they're going to see. Now, we've been getting a lot of feedback already, a lot of concerns and anxiety around, oh my goodness, there's no way my students or my craft professionals are going to be able to do this. We worked very hard to make this a simplistic process because we need for them to create their own accounts for a couple of different reasons. The very first and most important is security and privacy of their information. They need to access their own profile within our systems, and they need to be able to do that securely with a password in which they choose. The second reason is so that they know they have an NCCER account and they can access their own credentials, so that they can access their own information and set up a profile. So it's very important that they do this themselves. But what you see on screen here is the only thing they have to do. They fill in 8 pieces of information and they're done. No, they don't even have to navigate outside of this. So I will say for our correctional facilities, we are going to be making accommodations for this. We know that this is a challenge in your facilities. We will have a different process for our correctional facilities to use. So please just, again, keep your eye out on your emails. We're going to be sending out very specific information on how you're going to get NCCER numbers for your learners. So know we're making an accommodation for you for those correctional facilities. The other thing that I want to make sure that you all know is that we're also working very hard to produce some resources for you to assist your learners and craft professionals in creating their own NCCER account. We're going to have flyers that you can print as a flyer, as a poster, to post in your classroom, to post in your lobby if you're open to the public for services. We're going to create a PowerPoint slide. So if you have an orientation or a registration process, that will have all of the information they need. It's going to include 2 things. We're going to include the easy steps to access this, which is going to our website, clicking sign in and create an account. 3 steps, they get to this page. The second thing that we're going to do is to give a QR code that they can open up on their phone. They will be able to open up the camera. They don't even have to download an app or do anything. They open up their camera on their phone. When they hold the phone camera over that QR code, it opens up this page. So we're doing everything we can to make it very, very simple for them to be able to complete. And all of the information we're asking for is information that they know. Okay. So the next screen that I want to show is once they've filled in those 8 pieces of information, there is a checkbox where they're going to agree to our terms and conditions. So today, you all have paper registration and release forms and paper responsibilities and liability forms that you have to keep on file for auditing purposes. Any of that paper today that you have, you need to keep it for us to audit against. But once we release this new enhanced experience, you will no longer have to have that paper. These terms and conditions include all of that. And for an individual to create their account, they must agree to the terms and conditions. So that is all being done for you. So going forward, we won't have to audit paper. We'll know that we have it and we can validate on our end that electronic affirmation of those terms and conditions. So once we've put in those 8 pieces of information, done the check boxes to agree to our terms and conditions, and saved that information, the very next thing that's going to pop up, again, they can do it on their cell phone, they can do it on a computer, they can do it on an iPad, whatever works. They are going to see on screen their NCCER number. So there's 2 things here. One, if they are brand new, they have never had an NCCER number before, we're going to generate that number for them and present it right back to them on their screen. So they will know their NCCER number at that moment. If they are someone who has an NCCER number, but has just not created their account yet, when they go through filling out that 1 page, 8 pieces of information and agreeing to the terms and conditions, based off of the information they put into that form, we're going to be able to retrieve their NCCER number. So they just got to put in their name and alternate ID that we already have in our system, and then we're going to be able to retrieve that card number that they already have and present it to them. So another thing that we've had feedback on is, how am I going to get the card numbers from my learners and craft professionals? So we have a few different ways. One, they're doing it on their cell phone or on an iPad. That number is on the screen. They can take a screenshot and send it to you, show it to you. Couple of options there. The other thing is that they are going to get an email that includes their card number in it. So they can print that email and bring it into you. They can forward that email to you so that you have their card number. The third way is when they log into their NCCER account, that card number, or NCCER number as we're calling it now, is on that screen. They don't have to navigate anywhere. It is on the screen when they log in. So several different ways for them to easily get, save, forward, print that number to provide to you all to then assign their tests, assign their assessments, etc. This is what we're calling dashboard. So once you have signed into your NCCER account, just like you do today, it's just going to look different. What we've done again is to try to make it a much better experience for you. So we are making it role-based. So when you sign in, we will know, are you a director? Are you a manager? Are you an instructor, an evaluator, a proctor? Are you some of all of those things? And based on the role or roles that you hold will determine what menu or tiles, what we call these little blocks, tiles, you will see. So you're going to have a role-based interface and you'll see only the things that you need to see to fulfill the role or roles that you have. We have an area up here that is going to be for announcements. So we can put really important information there that we need you to know. So when you log in every day, you'll be able to receive those important notifications. We have on the left-hand navigation, credentials. So this is where you and your learners, when they log in, your learners or craft professionals, when they sign into their account, they will be able to see their own credentials right from the credential menu. They will be able to see their own reports, meaning their own score reports and training prescriptions. They'll have access to see them and print them themselves. So their screen won't look anything like this as far as all the tiles, because of course they're not managing programs, making purchases, etc. They will simply have the learning platform tile because that's all they need to have access to besides their own credentials and their own score reports and training prescriptions. For our program personnel, you will have whichever tiles are appropriate for you to have based on your role or roles, and you will have the same navigation here. So you'll be able to see your own credentials and your own reports where you two have taken some kind of an assessment, performance verification, something like that throughout your career. You'll be able to access that information right here in your sidebar. Additionally, having a role in a program is going to allow you an additional feature under both credentials and reports. So in addition to seeing your own credentials, you're going to be able to query the credentials of your learners, of your craft professionals, to see where they are within their journey. So this is going to be a great way for you to be able to access and pull a report of credentials for your class or for your employees to see who has completed what modules or what levels, who is knowledge verified or performance verified or certified on that assessment program side. So you'll have access to easily query that information. Under credentials, you'll actually be able to do it for more than one at a time. It's what we call bulk verification. You'll be able to look at and verify up to 50 individuals at a time. So really great resource for you there. Under reports, in addition to seeing any personal reports that you may have, you'll be able to still query, view, and print the score reports and training prescriptions for your learners, and those score reports and training prescriptions for our journey level assessments and practical examinations if those apply to your program. The other thing that we have is the settings area. So that's your personal profile. That's where you and your learners and craft professionals will be able to maintain their email address, change their password if they wish to, update their personal information. And additionally, they'll be able to upload a photo that you can see here in the top right-hand corner of the screenshot. So that's something that we're going to give the option to everyone to do. If you are an accredited assessment center that delivers our mobile crane operator or our rigger and signal person certification programs, this is how we're going to get candidate photos in the future. The individual is going to upload their candidate photo. For those programs, that photo is required for them to complete their certification. For everyone else, the photo is optional. But for those, we're going to have very specific directions on the page, much like when you get your passport and they have you upload a photo. They'll be able to know if it doesn't meet the criteria of the size, etc. It would tell them right then. When they successfully upload the photo, it is done. NCCER is not going to review them, and we're not going to have our assessment centers have to review those photos. It'll be a process totally done by the individual, but we will provide very specific parameters and guidance on how they do that. So now we're going to talk about program management. So the next couple of slides talks to our program directors, managers, and program contacts. So the people that actually oversee and manage programs. And we've actually developed a much more intuitive process to do this than you have in the current registry system. So if you hold one of those roles, you will have the Manage My Programs tile or button on your dashboard. That brings you to this screen where you can easily see, I either want to go and manage from this dashboard my programs, my personnel, or I want to register an additional program. So when we talk about my programs, this is what the screen is going to look like. You have the ability to view down at the bottom in a grid all of your programs. You can sort them by the various columns. The little arrows will let you sort that information however you wish. You can also filter here at the top of the page if you're looking for a specific program or a specific type of program. You can filter that information. And then we have the ability right here with this single button for you to export that information into Excel so that you can use that information for whatever purposes you need. So very, very simple navigation and the ability to quickly export that information for your use. If I select the edit button, because I need to edit something on a program, I'm going to show you what that screen looks like as well. For registering a program, if on that main dashboard under program management, I said I need to register a new program, we're going to have two ways for you to do that. So the first way is by clicking register a new program in your program management dashboard. That's going to be accessible to our directors and managers as appropriate. You have a very simple form here, and there's 3 different types of programs you may register. So when we talk about an accredited program, that would be if your organization, as an example, is already an accredited training sponsor, you have an accredited training program, but you wish to have an accredited assessment program. You could fill out this form, say accreditation, that will go to our workforce development team to contact you to help you get that additional accredited program. The registered program is something that you need to register to oversee underneath your accreditation. So what we call today a training unit or an assessment site. So this form should be used in that situation when you're registering things like a job site or a satellite office. So it's basically the same organization that's accredited, you're just registering additional locations. And the reason I say that is because you will know all of the information about that organization. You'll know their shipping address, their physical address, their billing address, their accounting contacts, their W-9 form. Are they tax exempt or not? And if so, providing that tax exempt documentation. And then we have the endorsement. So if you are an accredited program and you wish to add one of our endorsements, our mobile crane operator certification program, rigger and signal person certification program, our ATMOS program for our pipeline sector, you can add that endorsement here from this simple form. The second bullet on this screen is about someone filling out to register a different organization that you want to come under your accreditation. So as an example, maybe an ABC chapter wants to sponsor their local high school. So that form that's on our website, or will be on our website, they could have the individual at that high school that's going to be their program contact fill out that form and give all of the information about the high school, their name, all those various addresses, their accounting information, their tax exempt information, as well as the name of the organization that they are going to come under, so that when that form is submitted, our workforce development team will be able to work with you from that accredited organization to bring that additional program at that high school underneath your accreditation. So two very, very simple ways, single form, basic information, they submit, and then our workforce development team helps you get that completed. In my program, so this is where I talked about if you hit that edit button, you're able to see in a single page all of the information about that program. So this allows the director, manager, or program contact, where it's appropriate, to edit the information for that program. So you can edit addresses, phone numbers. A director or manager could put a new program contact in place if the old one was no longer there or was no longer going to fulfill those duties. You can also manage purchase orders. So if your organization uses purchase orders, you'll be able to come into each program and make that designation that, yes, this program uses purchase orders, so that we're able to know that from an accounting perspective. You'll also be able to enter a standing PO if that works for your organization. If you put a purchase order number in this screen, that will then communicate to our e-commerce site when you're purchasing things like subscriptions to autofill that PO number in it so that it comes out on the invoice or the receipt. The other area will be to go on your monthly invoices. If you pay for your test by the month, but you want a purchase order number to automatically appear on that invoice, you can manage that from right here. The other area I want to talk about that we're really excited about is our credential printing. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about our new credentials and that process. But this screen allows you to opt out of print on demand. And by that, I mean, we are going to go to defaulting everyone to the option of print on demand. We did a survey a little less than a year ago of all of our network asking if we had the feature for you to print your credentials on demand, would you like such a feature? And we had an overwhelming response of yes, please. So we have made that an option. Again, that is going to be the default setting, but you can come in here at any point in time by program. So you can be flexible in who you have do print on demand and who not. But if you say, I would really prefer that NCCER continue to print my credentials and send them to me, you can opt out of print on demand, and we will still print those and mail them to you just like we do today. But even if you opt out of print on demand, you will still have the ability to print on demand in addition to us printing those certificates and mailing them to you. The other nice thing about print on demand is individuals will be able to print their own as well. So that individual, again, from their account, which is why it's so important that they have their own account that they can log into securely with their password to access their credentials, they can then print their certificates right out of their account dashboard, just like you're going to be able to do on print on demand. And then the last thing I want to show here is our crafts and titles. So this is going to feed information to our Find a Center. So that's what we have on our website, where if you are an organization that has your services open to the public, so you provide training to the public, you would be able to designate by program the craft or crafts that you offer those services in, so that when someone comes to our website and is looking for, as an example, a training program that offers carpentry training, they would be able to search that information and find your program and know if they contacted you, you would be able to provide that service. So very simple, by program, to designate that craft or crafts that you provide those services for. When we talk about My Personnel, so again, off of that program management dashboard, if you pick My Personnel, you're going to have two options to interact with. One is your registered program. So that's going to be your program contacts, your instructors, your evaluators, and your proctors. And then you're going to have an accredited program personnel button, and that is your directors and managers. So NCCER assigns the director role, and then those directors will be able to assign and manage the manager roles for their organization. So very simple options and navigation to manage your personnel. And then once you select, as an example, that registered program personnel button, this is what your interface looks like. Again, very similar to your program management. Everything is going to show in a grid. All of your personnel are going to show in a grid at the bottom of the page. You can sort all of those columns to order the information how you want to look at it. You can filter that information to a particular individual or type of individuals or individuals at a specific program. You will also be able to export that information once you have that filter in place directly into an Excel file, making kind of that reporting very, very simple for you to see, sort, filter, export, and print. The only difference in your program management screen and your personnel management screen is right here at the top. So for personnel, you have to be able to add personnel to your program. So for you to do that, we've got two ways to do that. So if you are an organization that utilizes NCCER's learning platform to administer instructor certification training program, or the ICTP, the evaluator training and/or proctor training through NCCER's learning platform, we've set up the efficiency for you to assign that training in our learning platform, and you will tie that training to a program. This person is going through instructor training at Gainesville High School. When they complete that training, that information is going to go to our credentialing process to issue a certified instructor credential for that individual, and it's going to put that information here in this pending personnel approval area for you to then come in and activate that individual with the appropriate role based on the training that they've completed. So using the example of an instructor, you would see that individual's name, you would be able to click on that individual and activate them for that program with the role of instructor. You would do the same thing for evaluator, the same thing for proctor. The difference, an additional step for our instructors and evaluators, in addition to making them active in that program, you're going to assign the craft or crafts that you have approved them for that program. So again, you're still going through the same process of validating their education, experience, documentation that you have to have for all of your certified people, but for our instructors and evaluators, you have to know what craft or crafts they can and are qualified to teach. In this process, that's where you're going to say, I want to give the role of instructor with the craft of carpentry, or the role of evaluator with the crafts of carpentry and masonry. So they're going to get their certification is now going to be certified instructor, and then you're going to activate them for the craft or crafts that you wish for them to perform at that particular program. Additionally, if you just have someone who already has a certification, they didn't go through the learning platform to get that training, you can click the Add Personnel button, put in their card number, and do the same process of making them active, and where it's appropriate, assigning a craft or crafts to that individual, and they'll be added to the grid for the personnel of that program. Very, very simple for you to add people to your program in both of those ways. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about module testing. Before I get into sharing those screens, though, I do want to say, if we have anybody on today's webinar that is with an accredited assessment program, so you deliver our journey level assessments and practical exams, if you have that endorsement, your process for assigning and proctoring those journey level assessments and practical exams is going to be exactly the same as it is today. No changes at all. We are working on some enhancements for you. That's going to come at a later date. We will communicate all of that out to you. But for today, your process of assigning assessments and practical exams, if those apply to you, and proctoring those is exactly the same now and when we release enhancements. But for module testing, your interaction is going to be very similar to what you have today, but an enhanced experience. So for our directors and managers, currently you are having to manage your personnel in the registry system and then assign permissions in the testing platform. In the new process, we've streamlined that immensely for you. So you're going to manage your personnel like I just talked about in the previous slides. But by you giving that individual or those individuals a role at that program, they're going to automatically have access to assigning tests and proctoring those module tests based on the roles and the location in which you activated them. So there's no more two processes, multiple systems. You do it in one place, and we inherently know it and apply it across everything that that instructor or proctor is going to be doing. So again, permissions will be automatically assigned based on the role that you give them and the program or programs in which you give them those roles. I've done an example there just to help you kind of mentally think through how that works. And then the other change is that you're not going to have to remember which system do I go to for what. You're going to access your module testing via the NCCER Learning Platform button or tile right off of your dashboard. So when you go to the learning platform, you're going to be able to assign and proctor your test right there within that system. And that's going to look like this. So same exact process you do today. It just has a new look, a more intuitive and a more streamlined process for you. Less clicks, which we always love that. So when you click the NCCER Learning Platform from your dashboard, you're brought into the learning platform where you're going to see an assign menu option, and you'll be able to go directly to module tests. Again, this process here is almost identical to what you do today. You have your program selector. So if you have a role at multiple programs, you'll have a drop down that allows you to change that information based on who you're going to be assigning a test to. You are able to select the instructor of record. You're able to still do groups. You can create groups, manage your groups, and assign tests by groups, exactly like you do today, just a new interface. Then once you've made those selections, you can start selecting the students that you need to assign a module test to. So you're going to do that by adding more users, putting in a card number, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. So you can do it for one individual, for multiple individuals, or for an entire group, just like you do today. The only difference is you'll do it by card number versus having to have all the other information to put in there. Then you're going to have a folder structure, much like you do today. Now, the screenshot that I have here is just an example, so you had a visual, but it will look exactly like it does today, where we have it by areas for each craft, and then underneath each craft by each level, edition, level, and module. So very much the same as what you do today. One added feature is that you're going to be able to assign multiple tests at once if you wish to do so. You can still assign one at a time if that works for you, but if you want to assign an individual, multiple individuals, or a group of individuals 5 module tests at one time, you'll now be able to do that. You will not have to maintain a test list. You will simply come here and assign tests as appropriate. And then you just have your assign button and you're done. So very, very simple process, but very similar to what you have today. The next thing is your Proctor Console. For our instructors and our module test proctors, you'll have very much, again, the same process. You're still proctoring exactly like you do today in the room with those individuals. And you're still going to have to authorize a test for them to start it. But we've broken the Proctor Console today, which is one big list, into different tabs. So you're going to have a not started tab. So that's going to be easy for you to go directly to that tab to see who needs to be authorized to start their test. You're going to have an in progress tab. So you can easily go there, see who is in progress in testing, how far along they are, how much time they have left, etc. So you can help them manage that. And you're going to have a finished tab where if you have a learner that says, I'm done with my test, you can easily go to that finished tab to ensure that their test is showing as finished. So same exact process, just an improved user experience for you with some really intuitive navigation. And then we've also made some improvements for your test taker experience. Your test takers are going to still go to the same place they go today to take a test. They're going to go to our website, take module test, or to our website, take an assessment. That does not change at all. We're leaving that very simple process. Take a module test, it takes them directly to take their test. Take an assessment, takes them directly to take their assessment. For our module test takers, they're just going to see a little bit of a difference within the test itself. We've improved their navigation and their experience. So this shows an example of what a test question would look like on screen for them. We got feedback that we were having some people struggling with getting their mouse right over the selection of the answer that they wanted to choose. So we've kind of put a box around that to make it easier for them to get where they need to go and make that selection easy. We've also put the navigation along the bottom of the screen instead of in that top corner where it got kind of lost. It's across the bottom so they can easily see what question they're on. They can flag questions, which will show a flag within the circle so that they can easily jump forward, jump back, or jump to specific questions as they need to navigate their test efficiently. So exact same process, just a little bit of a new look to give them a better experience and most importantly, easy to follow navigation for their testing experience. The next thing I'm going to talk about is our performance evaluation app. We had a number of our customers say, okay, we're all online testing now. Can we get online performance? And we've got that for you now. So I'm going to show a couple of screens about what that experience is going to look like. So when we say a performance app, we do not mean that anybody has to go to the Apple Store or the Google Store and download an app onto their phone. Our app is going to be web-based. They can use it on their mobile phone. It is mobile friendly. They can use it on a tablet to make it easy to take into the shop or out on the job site to administer those performance evaluations electronically. We also know that we have some locations, maybe contractors, that there are exclusions to have any type of electronic device on site, whether it's a company policy or site policy, or if it's for safety reasons of having any kind of electronic device. We also know that we have some areas with lack of internet connectivity. So if you're in one of those remote locations, like maybe one of our pipeline providers, you will still be able to access your performance profile packets, that paper form, take that paper into the field, fill it out, and then when you are back to internet connectivity, you will still access the app to manually enter that information. We are hopeful that most of you will utilize the electronic version, have it on your phone or on your tablet, and enter that information as your students are being evaluated. So it makes it very, very simple. This app is both for performance profiles on the training side and performance verifications on the journey level side. The screenshot I have here is just for performance profiles, but it's going to look exactly the same. The difference will be it'll say performance verification instead of performance profile. So we have it for both sides: performance profiles for training, performance verifications for the journey level programs. For the manual entry, our directors, managers, and program contacts will have access to the performance app, but only will have access to click on the manual entry side, so you can help with the data entry if your evaluator is using paper. There still has to be data entry, but we want to open that process up to our directors, managers, and program contacts so you can help with that data entry. The start performance profile or start performance verification will only be accessible to our instructors and evaluators, because that means I'm going to give this evaluation now, and I'm ready to pull it up on my device and mark who's testing and if they get passed or training recommended. One thing that I do want to point out here, when we talk about the roster of individuals that are going to be given performance evaluations, we have groups here. So groups speak to the performance profile or the training side of things. So if you are a training program, you have the opportunity to create groups in the learning platform. If you create a group there, that group is going to be shared with the performance app, so you can access that same group of individuals so that you don't have to put them into the app individually or create a group in the app that then you're trying to maintain the same group in two different places. So you're going to create and maintain your groups in the learning platform only, but that information will be shared with the performance app, so you have the opportunity to have those groups for performance profiles. The next bit of information I want to talk about is our authentication and verification of credentials. So in order for an individual to even have access to that menu or that tile on their dashboard, they must either be a director, manager, or program contact, because they're going to help in that manual entry if they want to, or they must be a certified instructor or evaluator with that role at least one program. So we're doing that validation for you up front. They won't even get into the app if they don't meet those requirements. The second level of validation that we're doing is what crafts you have approved them to submit. So when we talked about adding them to your personnel list and you make them active for a craft, we're going to utilize that information to give them access to that or those performance profiles or performance verifications only. So if you activate them as an instructor for carpentry, they will only see the carpentry performance profiles. If you give them the role of assessment performance evaluator for pipe fitter, they will only see the pipe fitter performance verifications. So we're doing all of the authentication and validation for you. So our directors and managers don't have to worry somebody's submitting the wrong things, they're not filling the paperwork out properly. We are requiring the fields within there so they can't mess up. They have to give everything that we require or it won't submit. So this is an example of what it would look like once they had selected an individual or a group of individuals to start a performance evaluation on. This will look exactly the same, whether it's a profile or a performance verification. They will have the tasks for that individual evaluation. They will see the individual or individuals that they are ready to evaluate, and they will see the details of that particular task. All they do is pick the individual, they start the task. This screen then changes and gives them a button that's green that says pass, or a button that's red that says training recommended. So as soon as that individual has done that task, they simply mark pass or training recommended, move to the next individual, start the task, pass or training recommended, and so on. Then they can go down to each additional task within that profile or that PV to continue that process. We do have the opportunity on our performance profiles for the craft areas, not pipeline, but for craft, to where when it is appropriate and safe to evaluate multiple individuals at once, you can do up to 5 at one time. So you would be able to select, in my example, I have 3. So you could select 3, or if I had 5, I could select up to 5 and start the task. Then I would be able to select each individual and record if they got a pass or a training recommended. That is only for craft performance profiles on the training side. If you're doing pipeline performance for our OQ or operator qualification, you must do those one-to-one, no groups, as well as for our performance verifications, one-to-one. Want to share a little bit about the credentials. I'm actually really excited about this area. So we are building in more flexibility around credentialing. So today, for I would say the majority of our crafts, if you start a group of students in a textbook, you have to finish them in that textbook or they don't earn the credentials that they have today. But we come out with a new edition of a curriculum, and you would really like to utilize that new edition that has more updated information, that has more robust video content or resources for you. In our future state, you'll be able to mix and match editions. You still have to complete a module, and you still have to complete all the modules in a level to get a level completion, or all the levels to get a craft completion, but you're not going to have to do everything in a single textbook before you can move to a new one. We still want to caution everybody to be sure that they're assigning the appropriate version of a test so that they are being tested on the content that you're teaching, but we're not going to tie the additions to getting the credential. We've already talked about print on demand and the great things that that offers both to you as a personnel at a program, as well as to your learners and craft professionals to be able to print their own certificates if they wish to. Excuse me. The other area is our card number. So something that we're going to institute in the future state is individuals are going to claim their own NCCER wallet card. We're no longer going to print them and send them to the program. They're going to claim their own card. Again, this ties back to their having their account, accessing their credentials, knowing that they have a credential and what that means. And we want them to be able to get that wallet card. So when they claim their card in their NCCER account, we're going to be able to get their address and send that card directly to them. And they can claim it at different times. So once they have at least 2 module completions, they can claim their wallet card. If they get knowledge verified, performance verified, or journey levels certified on that assessment program side of the house, they can claim their wallet card. Or if you have personnel certifications, they become a certified instructor, evaluator, proctor, you'll be able to claim your NCCER wallet card. Very simple process for them to do so, and we're going to send it directly to them. And the reason we want to do that is so that they have that card in hand, they understand the importance, and they can be proud of that card and what it represents, because that card with their NCCER number allows them to easily share their credentials with a current employer, a future employer, a new program that they're starting where they can show what they already have been trained on and pick up where they left off. This is our new NCCER wallet card. You'll see on the back of the card, it has the picture. Again, that is going to be available to everyone. It is going to be required for our crane operators, our riggers, and our signal people, because that is part of what they have to require for their special certification programs at that journey level. The other thing that it's going to include is a QR code, and that is going to allow anyone to take their phone, again, open up the camera, hover over that QR code, and it's going to take that individual directly to that person's record in online verification. They don't have to navigate anywhere. They don't have to type in a button. They simply scan that QR code, and that individual's credentials are on their screen. So really excited about what that's going to offer. Got a couple of things, and I know I'm running right up to time, so bear with me just for another couple of minutes. We have billing and purchasing. So want to just talk about a couple of areas here for system efficiencies. So you all today have what we have called billing contacts. You will still have those same individuals as billing contacts. We're just changing what we're calling them. We're now calling them accounts payable contacts. So that means we're just going to change their name. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to associate people. If they are a billing contact today, they will be an accounts payable contact in the future. You don't have to do anything. We're just changing what we're calling them to try to make it a little more clear. They're still going to have access to that tile or that menu option on their dashboard to pay my invoice with that accounts payable role. The other efficiency is you're going to be managing your accounting contacts with all your other program personnel. Today, you have to manage your personnel in the registry system and your accounting people in the billing portal. In future state, all your people are going to be managed right within that program management. For subscriptions, if the individual has that purchaser role, they're going to see the tile or menu option on their dashboard that says make a purchase. That's going to take them directly to the NCCER store associated with the program or programs where they have that role to make their subscription purchases, whether it's module test subscriptions, or we also have subscriptions for our Atmos program. They'll be able to access those subscriptions for purchase. We are working on a subscription management tool where you're going to be able to manage your subscriptions. So not just purchase them like you do today, but know how many you have and how many you have used. That is under construction, so I don't have anything to share with you at the moment, but we will be sharing more information with you about that, and that will be part of what we release at the end of July. And then the very last area is I just want to talk about our transition period. So we are going to be having to do some data migration. We're going to have to be making the interface for you all change to the new look and feel. So we're going to have a transition period. So watch for very important communications in your email. It's critical that you keep an eye on your email to make sure you are getting those communications and that you are planning accordingly for that transition period and that schedule that we provide out to you. So just make sure you watch your emails very closely. That's all I had to formally share. Devin, I know we're over time, but do we have anything that we want to make sure we cover as a group for everyone?
I don't think so. This session, I was able to answer all of the questions and keep up with the Q&A.
Awesome.
I have a couple of people that I told them we would follow up with kind of specific information about their certain circumstance. But other than that, I think I was able to answer everybody's questions.
Awesome. So we won't keep you all any longer. We know you have busy schedules. It's at the end of the workday for most people, at least out here on the east side of the country. So I just want to thank you again for coming and taking time to learn about the enhancements that we're really excited about offering to you. If you all have questions, you can always reach out to our customer service team. You can reach out to your workforce development manager. They're happy to answer those questions, and just keep an eye out again on your email. We'll be talking about dates, times, resources to make sure we have you prepared for the release of all these enhancements. So thank you, everyone, and we just wish you a happy evening. Thanks so much.